All right, everyone. It's Coach Ed here, back with the Reading Attack with a special interview. One of the up and coming YouTube content creators for New York Giants work. This is Dash of Big Dash Knows. He definitely knows his stuff. You guys definitely check him out. I'll make sure that he'll go over all his contacts, as we go along with this interview. But definitely check him out because he knows his stuff. Good brother. So thank you, Dash, for tuning in today or chiming in with me today for this interview. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. And no, man, thank you for having me, man. It's humbling that somebody would even want to interview me, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. It's my pleasure. So, all right. So, let me just get right into it. You have a great knowledge of sports.
hmm
Um, how did you become so knowledgeable with sports?
it's funny because when growing up, like I said, my father, my mother, you know, didn't get along. My father ended up getting booted, and then my step pops came along after that, and you figure I was probably around 5, 6 at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I never had a chance. I can't remember like playing catch and with my father and doing like I'm not saying that he wasn't around, but when he was
Mm-hmm.
around, he was a truck driver, stuff like that. But I had to learn everything off of either visual or either
Mm-hmm.
just trying it out myself. And I remember one thing that I did have was I remember it was the 100 greatest touchdowns by NFL Films. I forget what year it was put out, but it had to be either late 80s, early 90s. I
Mm-hmm.
remember it was John Taylor on the cover, and I remember on the back it had the immaculate um, reception by Franco Harris. That's what I remember about it. And I just remember watching all of these
Excuse me.
100 greatest touchdowns and trying to mimic that. So
Mm-hmm.
so when it comes to my knowledge of football, I did play, but at to a certain extent, and then it's just that wanting to know what's going on and dissect plays and not only just watching it, want to know why everything is working. That gave me that love to try to learn this sport and along with other sports too.
That's good. I mean, I can definitely understand, studying the game because yeah, that does help you, and it does feed your desire to know why. So that's impressive, man. Definitely. Um, is that where you developed your passion for sports? Sitting back and analyzing and everything that you went through in learning the game itself.
Yeah, that and the other thing was this. I always liked sports, but I didn't love sports until the first time I was cut from a team.
Hmm.
That's what did it. And I remember I told myself, I said, I'm never gonna find myself in that position where I'm cut or somebody's
Mm-hmm.
picked over me. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where the passion came from. And it actually started with basketball first.
Hmm.
Because football, I think the earliest I played football was like fifth grade, and naturally, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I took to it. And like I said, one of my favorite. As much as I'm a Giants fan, I remember those early Buffalo Bills teams.
Hmm.
Well, for me, early Buffalo Bills teams, and
Mm-hmm.
watching Bruce Smith and things like, and watching his technique. And I remember taking that to the Pee Wee League and
Mm-hmm.
using what I saw, like I said, watching these tapes and watching NFL players. Again, I was never really coached by a father figure as far as football goes. It came
Mm-hmm.
from all just trying stuff out. But yeah, that's where it came from, man. That never wanting to be hurt again by not making a team. That's where the passion came from, and it was like I'm never gonna feel that embarrassment again.
Hmm. Okay, that's a good thing. I mean,
Yeah,
it goes into everything. You're studying the game and your knowledge, and
yeah.
I get you with not wanting to be cut again and
hmm
driving that hunger and creating that passion. So I get you with that. What are your favorite sports? I know you mentioned basketball and football. I mean, is there
Yeah.
anything else? I mean,
As far as passions, not really. I dabbled in baseball, wasn't really good at it. Wasn't good at all in baseball. I did some track and field.
Mhm.
So I did hurdles, I did the long jump, and that was middle school and early in high school. But when it came to like varsity sports and things like that, it was strictly football, basketball.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. That I understand that. So, I mean, how long have you been over? I mean, you said fifth grade. You had mentioned fifth grade. I mean, is that when you really started becoming a fan of football and basketball, or was it earlier than that?
It was earlier than that. I remember, like I said, I've been alive for all four Super Bowls for the New York Giants.
Mm-hmm.
But that '86 Super Bowl, I was 3 years old. I was 3 years old, so I can't say that I remember that one, but I was alive for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My first real memory of football was the 1990 Super Bowl that we won, and I remember
Mm-hmm.
just being a kid running around the house, and I remember everybody being silent for that field goal that was wide. And I remember just staring at the television, not really knowing what I was looking at, but just seeing the
Mm-hmm.
excitement of my uncles, just the family, cousins and stuff, just because they're all Giants fans, just that excitement and trying to see, what is making these people so excited. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like I said, I grew up in New Jersey, and then right after that, my school, we had a school trip right after that Super Bowl. Maybe it might have been 91, 92, if I'm remembering correctly.
Mm-hmm.
We actually
Mm-hmm.
went to the Meadowlands and we met the Giants players. And I remember meeting Carl Banks for the first time. And Carl Banks ended up being like, he doesn't know it. I never say it because I don't want to be corny, but Carl Banks is like my favorite New York Giant. I mean, I love
Okay.
Lawrence Taylor. I've
Mm-hmm.
met
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Marshall before too. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Carl Banks to me was like my favorite New York Giant. He was the first New York Giant that actually talked to me. You know what I mean? So it was cool. I mean, like I said, he was doing that for the kids at the time. I might have been third or fourth
Mm-hmm.
grade at the time, but it
Mm-hmm.
was still, it's Carl Banks, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We all understand that when you're a little kid
Yeah,
and any type of professional football player talks to you, you're just like, wow. So
yeah,
I get it.
yeah,
I understand. So,
yeah, absolutely.
um, now you mentioned, playing youth football, middle school,
Hmm.
and also in high school. I
Yeah.
mean, was that your highest level? Did you play in college or anything? Any minor leagues, semi-pro?
No, no. Well, so what happened was I had some Division III interests, and it's crazy
Hmm.
too because I know you coached at Keene before, right? It was
No, I played at Keene.
played at Keene. So
Hmm.
I remember going on to visit the Keene. It was Keene. It was Montclair State,
Hmm.
and it was William Patterson. William Patterson. So it was all local stuff.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I had other aspirations at the time, leaving. So once it didn't work out, I ended up going to a county college that didn't have a football team, and then
Hmm.
after that, when you're that age, you're talking early 2000s, I was, it was like I'm not playing sports. I might as well try to rap or do something like that. And never got back to football after that. But the passion for it was always there. Even when I was getting into like 21, 22 years old, I was like,
Hmm.
you know what? Can I try to walk on somewhere or do
Hmm.
something like that? But like I said, never panned out for me. But again, I had like newspaper clippings from high school, stuff like
Hmm.
that. So I was pretty good in high school, but never panned out. No Division 1, Division 2 type of career after that.
I understand, man. I understand.
Yeah.
D3 is still good football,
No, it is
especially
absolutely,
most people
absolutely.
don't realize the NJAC in New Jersey, they play
Yes,
some
sir.
good football. So,
Yes, sir.
I played in the
Yeah.
I get it. So, don't sleeping on the NJAC schools, much
Yeah.
respect to them. So, um, now, have you ever considered or actually coached sports? And if so, what level?
Just Pee Wee. My son played baseball when he was young. My oldest. So just
Hmm.
baseball. Helping out. Real that father son type of deal.
Hmm.
Never
Hmm.
thought
Hmm.
never thought about actually coaching. I went back to school. Because the first time I went to college didn't work out. I ended up going back to school while I was already working. Because you can't coach without a degree and things. At
Hmm.
certain levels you can't coach without a degree. So um, by the time I went back to school and got my degrees, um, coaching was way out of my system by that time.
Got you. I got you.
Yeah,
I understand. Trust me, it's always been in mind. So, I know exactly what you're talking about. So,
yeah.
um, now, I know you mentioned the Giants. So, what other teams are you a fan of, and um, how did I understand how you developed your passion for the Giants, but with the if you are a fan of any other teams, how did you also develop those passions?
No, absolutely. So when it goes to college football, is Alabama. My
Mm-hmm.
whole father's side is from Alabama. And I
Okay.
remember going down, even though I didn't spend as much time with my dad, they would send me to my grandfather, in the summers,
Mm-hmm.
grandparents and stuff like that. So I used to spend the whole summer in Alabama and then watching how my grandfather was about, Alabama
Mm-hmm.
football and
Mm-hmm.
things like
Mm-hmm.
that. And when you're down there in it, because we're probably
Mm-hmm.
maybe 30 minutes outside of Tuscaloosa, where my family's
Okay.
from. And
Mhm.
yeah, that roll tide, like blood is all the
Mhm.
way in me. Now I will say this, so I remember those years when Alabama was horrible for a long time. The
Mhm.
90s, right before
Mhm.
Nick Saban got there, they were horrible. And
Mhm.
I remember seeing Michael Vick. So I was a Virginia Tech fan for a little bit too, man. Mike
Mhm.
Vick
Mhm.
made me a fan. And then outside of that, the NBA, I'm a big Nets. Well, I used to be a big New Jersey Nets fan when I fell off a little bit when they moved to Brooklyn. And because of
Mhm.
my stepfather, I also like to watch the Knicks. Um, and
Mhm. Mhm.
I won't say that I'm a fan of well, I am a fan of the Knicks. I won't say I don't just root for the Knicks, but when they do good, I'm kind of happy for
Got you. I understand. I
them.
mean, bottom line is you're rooting for the city.
Yeah,
That's as
yeah,
simple as
yeah,
it. I get it. And you know what? Even though there are those diehards, don't get me wrong,
yeah.
but most fans in New York City root for the teams in New York City. I'm a diehard
Absolutely,
Knicks fan. I get it.
absolutely.
But when the Nets went to the NBA Finals, I was there when they were playing the Lakers.
Mm.
Part of me was saying, come on, y'all, get a game because they got swept. Because I grew up a Lakers fan before I grew up a Magic Johnson fan as a kid.
Yeah,
So it was that kind of love for the Lakers until I transitioned. But when I became a Knicks fan,
yeah,
yeah, I rooted for the Nets. I mean, I can't sit here and say that just when they not when they played the
yeah,
Knicks. So I get it. I
yeah.
get it. I respect that. So all right, that's a good thing. Um, what other experiences do you have dealing in the world of sports? For example, have you ever been in type of management, agent, broadcasting,
No.
anything of that nature?
Yeah, nothing like that. And it's funny too because I tell my wife all the time, when you grow up a certain way in a certain area, you don't see certain opportunities out there or
Hmm.
any possibilities. And I was like, man, one thing I would do now if I could start from scratch is probably find a way to work for the New York Giants, man. Whether it's out there starting as making no money as a scout on the road, busting my back trying to hustle into to a paying job, but that's something that I think about now. And when I think about my kids growing up, I want them to be able to know all the opportunities that are out there, not just in sports,
Hmm.
but just
Hmm.
just things that I wasn't, um, that I didn't experience. One example I always say is that growing up, if you say I got a career in construction, you think you're out there breaking bricks, so you
Hmm.
don't think about the engineers, you don't think about things like that. So your foremans and stuff like that. So yeah, that's one of the things I try to take in there. But no, nothing in sports, man. Nothing in sports. I wish if I can rewind. Nah, actually, I don't. I love the way my life turned out, man. No complaints.
Well, but wait a minute, okay? So you are great at identifying things with football, and you're growing. I see you. You're growing in terms of watching film. Please
Hmm.
don't tell me the Giants came to you and said they wanted to hire you to watch film and
Oh
be in.
man. Oh, I would, yeah, yeah, in a heartbeat, in a heartbeat, yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
So don't say no. It's
No, no,
because
you're
believe me,
absolutely right. No, you're
this
absolutely
this
right.
old grizzled coach, if my love Rutgers University came knocking at my door, Coach Shanley, you want me to sit in the office and watch film all day and write reports off of that?
Yeah,
Please, I'll be in heaven.
yeah.
So don't close that door. You said opportunity.
No,
Don't
you're
close that
absolutely
door,
right.
brother.
You're
So,
absolutely
but
right.
no, I get you. I understand. You got a family. I'm messing with you. So that's something big you would have to talk to your family about. So so
Just moving back to the East Coast would be one thing. That's
well,
that's that'd
heck,
be the
any
biggest thing.
NFL team, let's be real, any NFL
No, you're
team, if they're
absolutely
going to
right.
pay you, you're on the West Coast. So,
Yeah,
if any of those West Coast team
yeah.
came, believe me, because those coaches
Yeah,
get paid. So,
I had a friend that interned for the Broncos for a little bit.
oh,
And like
okay.
I remember I was asking about his experience, and he was fresh out of college at the time, and like I said, he was like, "Yo, it's like the best thing in the world when it
Hmm.
doesn't even feel like you're working, when you just enjoy your job that much." So it's like cool, man.
That's what I'm talking about. So, that's what do they say? That's when a job isn't a job, it's a career.
Yeah,
And a career
absolutely,
is something you love and
absolutely.
you really invest yourself in. So I get it. So, all right. And with your YouTubing and podcasting, how did you get involved with those aspects? Um, how did you get involved with them?
It's a couple different things. So like I said, when I moved to the West Coast, I don't make friends easily, right?
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
figure, I moved away from New Jersey. I was 20 years old, turning 21. I moved to Las Vegas. That's what, I met my wife in college and then moved to Las Vegas. We got married and stuff like that. But I didn't really have friends. So what I did was I engulfed myself in just football, just watching the
Mhm.
stuff. And I remember
Mhm.
I remember when Eli Manning got drafted. And I remember
Mhm.
at that time I didn't think about looking up people on the internet and scouting players and doing stuff like that. But man, just that having that extra time and then falling
Mhm.
in love with football again, falling in love with the Giants even more than before, and then having that understanding of how things work, and then and just that hunger again of, okay, I like these players. What do they do? Why are they so good? What's the technique? And then you start reading, and it's crazy because at the time I wasn't really like Googling stuff. I would go find books, and it was
Mhm.
like books on play calling, technique, defenses and stuff. And the books are thick. The books are so, the books are so
Mhm.
thick. And
Mhm.
then then once YouTube came along, and we started really using YouTube, I just used to watch videos, man, and see how people would break down film. And
Mhm.
that's why I always say, man, when and I say it to you and Pat as well. But when you was on that Pat show and you started talking film, like I'm telling you, I just fell into a zone, man. Because like that learning, I love to
Mhm.
learn, and
Mhm.
especially when the guy that's teaching you, and I'll say you teaching me because
Mhm.
that's what it
Mhm.
is. Because I'm learning
Mhm.
from what you're saying, so it is
Mhm.
teaching. It's just it's like, yo, I got to know this guy. You know what I mean? I got to
Mhm.
know this guy. I got to know these guys in that group, and that's what it was, man. And that's I just like to, for some reason, I just need to know how things work and what
Mhm.
makes things work. And I think
Mhm.
that's what it is.
No, I understand that. I mean, I'm in a sense, I'm the same way with you in terms of, uh, and Pat is, you want to know the why. Why do things
Yeah,
work the way they do? So you have an understanding. So when you're watching it, you can almost anticipate exactly what's going to happen out there on
yeah,
the field. And you're seeing the guys, perform their craft.
yeah,
And with them doing their craft, you're seeing, hand placement, foot placement, and all the little tedious things the average fan does
yeah.
not pay attention to. But we are beyond being an average fan. We
Fanatics.
are we are in a sense connoisseurs of the game itself. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
want to be fed and we want to grow beyond. And like you said, you want to learn.
yeah,
You like to learn. Some people just don't like to learn. Once you get out of
yeah,
school, that's it. I don't want to learn anymore. But
yeah. And
you.
the other thing, the other part of that question is how I got started with YouTube.
Hmm.
I would watch, New York Giants content creators. I would be on Twitter in the chats and stuff like that, and I would put my opinion out there. Big Blue Kickoff Live,
Hmm.
they used to quote a lot of my tweets and share a lot of my tweets on the show. But I was
Hmm.
like, I never thought about, okay, instead of just, receiving all of this information and asking questions, how about, I do something? How about I start bringing out some
Hmm.
content? And I remember my wife was like, you do all this Giants talk for free, or you're spending all this time doing this. How about you just put that information out there? And I just was sitting there like, nah, nobody wants to hear from me. Who am I to do things like
Hmm.
that? And then
Hmm.
you know what? I got fed up one time, and I just did it. I hit the record button, man, and that's what you got to do. I hit the record button. It was terrible
Hmm.
because it was like I was so stoic. It was so
Hmm.
boring, but for some reason people like it. I wasn't even on camera, and I was just talking, and it was so robotic and stuff like that. But I got comfortable. And then again, once you start reaching out to other people, you start to come out of your shell, man. I just started loving to do it, man. And then once people, start subscribing and hitting
Hmm.
that like button, and then you know um, on Twitter, you're starting to get a little bit of recognition. People are saying your name because you're giving out some good information, or they agree with some of your point of views. It just becomes a little bit addictive. But again, I do this because I like it, man. I like to talk Giants football.
That's you just said something that, what, I never even thought of. You said doing all this and then it becomes addictive.
Yeah.
And I get it. You know what? It does. It does because you're doing it. You're putting out information
Hmm.
each and every day. I mean, and I see. We cross paths.
Yeah.
On Twitter or in YouTube. You're in there, and you're right. It does become addictive. So hey, thank you for teaching me that and making me. helping me see that. No, seriously, because it's because now you start to understand. Okay, that isn't. And look, I'm not saying addictive in a negative way
No, absolutely.
because you're still feeding your mind in a positive way, and this addiction is a positive thing because it
Yeah.
keeps you active. And like you said, you could become one of those people who just all they want to do is play video games, and you
Yep.
become robotic.
Yeah.
But now you're interacting because I get it because I like being around and engaging with intelligent conversation. I don't like the stupid rhetorics and a
Yeah.
lot of the arguments that go on back and forth. You can have a debate. You can
Mhm.
have a passionate debate
Yep.
that is productive. But when you're just arguing back and forth and no, because then it's like, what, it's not feeding my mind.
Yeah.
My mind
Exactly.
wants to be fed, and that's the addiction.
That is
So
it. That is it.
you taught me something and helped me see it. So thank you, bro. I
No, man, I'm
appreciate that.
telling you, it's the learning part of it, man. And like you said, even when you're in those debates, I'm
Mm-hmm.
still trying to like people like to argue and never listen to the other side and just like to argue their point. For me, I always say that I'm not afraid to be wrong. And I will say
Mm-hmm.
something, and if I end up
Mm-hmm.
being wrong, I will go back. I have no problems with being wrong because you know what that means. I learned something and I made an
Mm-hmm.
adjustment to it. So some people will make a hard stance about something, see the new information, and still won't change their minds just because they said it already. And for me,
Mm-hmm.
there's no growth in that. There's no growth in that. Because again, if I would have stood on a lot of things that I said even last year,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be able to accept the progress that Daniel Jones is making. Think I like
Mm-hmm.
I've been wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it like I said, ego, and sometimes ego is a horrible thing to have. You got to have a little bit of it though, because it
Mm-hmm.
brings confidence with you.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to
Mm-hmm.
be able to learn, accept when you're wrong, and then be able to move on from it. And I think that's what makes me a little bit different because so I can be wrong and be fine. Like, okay,
That
thank you.
that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like hearing that. So
Don't just, I learned something, I was wrong. Don't let me continue to be wrong in my thinking
exactly,
process. So I'd rather
exactly.
take that little bit, if you want to call it embarrassment of being wrong. I don't think it really is. But yeah, I'll take that. And then
But
you know what?
that's
I'm not just gonna stand here and be ignorant.
but that's society too. Some people are just so hard
That's
line they don't want to be wrong, So but you're
yeah,
right. Learning is progressing. So that's what my
absolutely.
father always said. So I respect that. So good one. Um, what are the long term goals and aspirations through podcasting and YouTubing?
Man, I think the main thing is just to grow. Um, it
Mm-hmm.
was never and to this day it's not about the money. It's about the information. It's about the impact. It's about if you want to call it education, it's about that too. But man, if
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, I'll argue my point to a certain extent if I think that I can get through to somebody. Not necessarily change your mind, but I know like for example, the one thing that I've been doing, I've been pushing hard for the center. And I know you don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily agree with me, with a center at 25 either, because it's all about best player available and things like that. But I push hard for the center because I feel like, and I really believe that if you get that center, it will make the offense go. Some people think if you get that wide receiver, it'll make the offense go. Some people think it's all about defense, and all these things are all true. Like everything is
Mm-hmm.
true, and your opinion
Mm-hmm.
is your opinion. But that's being able to do that, share my opinion, get people to think about things instead
Mm-hmm.
of just hearing what other people are saying and just taking that as gospel. When
Mm-hmm.
I do my videos, I like to make fun of myself sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be informative when I want to be informative, but also I just want people to if when they do watch me, whether they agree with me or not, that they're entertained. And I think it's more about me being entertaining for other people, um,
Mm-hmm.
but not forcing myself to be entertaining for people. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still saying what I want to say. I'm doing the things that I want to do in the way I want to do it. And if you ride it with me, perfect. If you got a problem with me, go ahead and hit them comments down below and let
Mm-hmm.
me and let me know what we can talk
Mm-hmm.
about, because I love to
Mm-hmm.
do that as well, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just want to say one thing. I'm not against the center. Remember, I do like linemen. I
I know
love
it. Well, I
offensive
know.
and defensive linemen. So I'm a former lineman. So as I like to say, I'm a big fatty. I love me those big fatties. So
Yeah,
because that's where the game is won. Period. Case closed. So
absolutely,
it's just
absolutely.
that I get where you're going, and you're right in what you're saying. It's just that I know the board. That's what I'm looking at, and I look at the perception, and I'm just like, they're not. Nobody's going. It's going to be hard. I'm hard pressed to think that they're going to take a center at
Yeah,
25, and hearing Joe Shane when he first came in with positional value. I
yeah.
hate that word. I do,
Me too.
but
Me too.
I'm also realistic that what this is the GM that we have, but to me, if the center is the best position and we need it, you better take that position.
And I mean, I'll let you. I'll let you know. I don't think it will be at 25. I really don't.
No, no. Yeah.
I just like I said, I just think the impact. For me, it's about that impact. And like I said,
Mhm.
I admit it. Like I said, I will stand and die on this hill because I just believe it. That I believe it that much. But in all honesty, if we go another way, I'm not going to be upset.
Okay.
I'm not going to be upset. Now, if we get into September, we still don't have a center, and the line is messing up, then I'm gonna be
That's a
right back
different
here,
story.
ready to go,
That's a
ready to
different story.
go.
I think all of us are. I think all of us are. So,
I'll be
we
ready to
want to
go.
see the improvements at the center. So I get you. I get you. So now you just talked about impact.
Hmm.
Explain to me and the audience um, how impactful YouTubing and podcasting is in the sports world.
Okay. When it comes to actual athletes, because you see now that athletes are now becoming podcasters too now.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
it's heavy. Like the saturation of sports talk, sports YouTubers.
mhm,
Is there. So everything you want is there, and to be able to try to build an audience and stuff like that, it's something that I don't know what it is. It's something that you have that people are drawn to in order for them to get to like you, to subscribe to
mhm,
you. And it's hard
mhm,
too. So I remember when I first started, and I remember, like I said, talking with my wife and stuff. I'm like, nobody wants to hear what I got to say, this, that, and the other. So many people out there doing it. And I remember watching guys like Talking Giants, Entertainer, Bad Dog,
mhm,
guys like that before I even discovered I would say the underground of New York Giants. And I
mhm,
consider me, you, what Pat does, all I consider us the underground when it comes to YouTube, Giants
mhm,
YouTubers and stuff like that. And I just was like, what can I do to be different? And then that's when I put the music in the background. I started playing around with the lighting and stuff like that, trying to work on my backgrounds and stuff like. Because if you look at those early videos, I just had in some cases it was green screen and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people do the green screen, and I have nothing against it, but I was like, what, I wasn't getting the kind of traction that I wanted.
mhm,
And
mhm,
then, I said, what, let me get on camera, because at this point I wasn't on camera. Then I jumped on camera and I was doing the green screen, and then I had like the fake brick background for a little bit. And
mhm,
yeah,
mhm,
just trying things out
mhm,
to see what will work. But at the end of the day, I realized that first off, people were asking to see what I look like for whatever
mhm.
weird purpose. And then my wife was like, you need to get on camera, you need to show your personality, and they can't do that just through the microphone. So that's what I do now, just show my personality, and I think people like that.
No, you're right about that. I mean, and you
Hmm.
have a certain level of comfortability. Like,
Okay.
you say you don't make friends easy, but you come across as one of the dudes that you could sit back, chill, or be on the deck, crack a beer,
No.
and just crack jokes, whatever, but talk also seriously in terms of what's going on in life and in sports, whatever. So,
Yeah.
I feel
So
you,
you
and
know, let me put an edit to that. So it's not making friends easy. I don't put myself in a position to make friends. Like I said, I'm a homebody. I'm with my family most of the time. When I
hmm
go out, it's
hmm
usually family. So I'm not really in social settings like that. So that's what I mean as far as not making friends easily. But like I said, the first time I hopped on the stream with you guys, I felt
hmm
so comfortable. I think we were
hmm
on the stream, and then it went from sports to life to just talking
hmm
about reminiscing and everything. And
hmm
that was something I've been missing for a long time, man. Just that camaraderie, with other men. You know what I mean? In a
Mhm,
good way. In a
mhm,
good way.
mhm,
The way
mhm,
it's the way
mhm,
it's. And it's
Go
like,
ahead and say the pause. Go ahead and say the
you
pause.
know,
I know. I
pause. Yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly,
I know.
pause.
Y'all.
But no,
That's
but
y'all with that thing.
just the sense of brotherhood that for me personally that I've been missing, and that's why I said I latched on. I like the streams. I like joining and talking with you guys, and then on top of all that, enjoying the time. Also, I'm learning. I'm learning so
Hmm.
much. I learned so much in the past 6 months, man. You say that actually from like July. That's when I ran into Pat Show was back in July, and that's when I
Hmm.
saw you
Hmm.
was back in July. And since then, man, you guys have taught me a lot, and a lot of the things that I learned from you guys, I use it in my films,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
in my videos. So yeah, man.
Hmm.
Because I
No,
know
I feel you.
Lou always goes, you took my idea. I was like, yo, man,
Uh-huh.
listen, it's just so many ideas when it comes to the New York Giants. It's
Exactly.
just so much
Exactly.
information, man. Yeah, but yeah, me and Lou are cool, man.
So no, I get you. I get you. I
Yeah,
mean, we all know that it's flattering. You mimic those or emulate those because it's flattering. So, and I get it. And there are people that are probably emulating you, and you probably don't even know it. So, it's just continuous cycle. That's the circle.
yeah,
And that brotherhood that you're talking about, realistically, when you really think about it, that's just you just want to be in a locker room. Because
yeah,
think about most of the times when you're practicing or whatever,
yep,
it was the locker room. Yeah, you go through the grind, but then
yep,
you get to the locker room, the cutting up, the talking, whatever. You're in high school, you're talking about this girl or that girl, or
yep,
coach get on my nerve, or did you
yep.
have such and such as the teacher? So I get it, and
It's the
yes, you're right.
conversations, yeah. It's the
It's
conversations.
exactly so.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. So, um, do you find this all, everything that you're doing through podcasting, YouTubing, do you find it rewarding?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Like I said, it was like it's not. I'm not making any money. You know what I mean? This is all for
Mm-hmm.
the love.
Mm-hmm.
And but what like I said, I do appreciate the comments, man. Comments, and it's funny too because you never really think about what somebody's saying to you or about your
Mm-hmm.
channel or what you're doing. You never really think, okay, that it impacts you as much as it does. But just sometimes, man, just a great video. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Keep up the good work. Keep this going. I like these style of videos.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's just like, okay, it's like, whatever I'm doing something right. People are liking it,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to keep on doing it. So like I said, when it comes to the information, I love bringing you guys the information and
Mm-hmm.
whoever's watching the information. And then when you get that love back, that support back, even when it's challenging, even when somebody doesn't agree with you, I love that too because that
Mm-hmm.
shows me that first off, you watched the video enough to
Mm-hmm.
disagree with what I'm saying. But let's
Mm-hmm.
just, let's get this conversation going on why you feel the way that you feel, and I can tell you
Mm-hmm.
why I feel how I feel, and it's always respectful. So I do appreciate because I've seen some people's comments, man. Some people disrespectful in comments. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
had that situation yet because again, I treat people with respect. And
Mm-hmm.
not saying that I demand respect back, but I think when you have that type of energy, it just
Mm-hmm.
naturally comes back and you don't have to worry about people going crazy or anything like that. And even if they do, I try to soften the mood up with a little joke or something like that. But it is what it is. But I will bite, bite somebody's head off if I have to.
Yeah, we all have. Y'all seen me do it too, so I mean,
Yeah,
I
man.
get it. I understand. So now you had a great rise as a YouTuber in a short period of time because like you said, you got on back in July, if I'm not mistaken.
I started a
Um,
channel in May, and I
oh,
struggled
May.
along.
Okay.
I struggled along, so I'm almost at a year. Yeah.
So we're all about the same thing. You, me, Jeff, because we talked about that. Jeff started in April. I started a little bit after that, April, May. So it's
Mhm.
about the same. So, um, but with your rise, what has been your secret?
I wish I had a secret, man. I watched one thing when I started the channel. I watched a lot of non-sports YouTubers to
Mm-hmm.
see what they were doing. And I remember I was like, I would watch some other people that are in like some of the bigger channels as far as Giants football. I'm like, what can I do to be a little bit different? So like I
Mm-hmm.
said, that's when I started playing with the lighting. Instead of it being bright, I tried to go a little bit more dim because I
Mm-hmm.
see that a lot of YouTubers outside of sports have the dimmer backgrounds and it's soothing, when you're watching it. And then I put the
Mm-hmm.
music in there. So I started trying to do a little bit of little things like that outside of just sports YouTubers to try
Mm-hmm.
to set a mood. So when people came to the channel, it was something a little bit different than what they seen before as far as for sports. Somebody give you sports
Mhm.
information, but the background is like soothing. So,
Mhm.
maybe they
Mhm.
stay a
Mhm.
little bit longer and listen because,
Mhm.
the background is soothing, but also, I got the music too in the background just a little bit, just as an
Mhm.
undertone. And like I said, you do the same thing. You know what I mean? It whatever can keep you on that channel a little bit longer. Because again, I've watched videos after videos on how to keep people engaged, and even hand movements. It's funny too. The things that keep people's attention, the hand
Mhm.
movements. Now, let me give you another secret. You know how I put in all those little clips and gifs?
Mhm. Mhm.
That was something that I learned from another YouTuber. Well, got it. He was like, when you put flashes in, it keeps people's attention a little bit longer. So when they start to lose their attention, that flash or something different sets that clock right back and gets them involved again. So I took that and ran with it. So now
Mm.
and at the time it was like it can be music, it could be the way the camera's going in and out on you if you're doing something like that.
Mhm.
And if you look at my earlier tapes, I didn't have like the gifts as much, but I would
Mhm.
do like a zoom in or something like that just to try to play with it. Then I realized that people really like the gifts because they would comment on, oh, the gifts are funny and this like right. So I was like, you know what? That means you're keeping their attention a little bit longer. But
Mm.
again, studying, man, studying regular YouTube and seeing what other people say that people like, man. And that's what I was doing,
See,
man.
that's what I'm talking about because I have to admit, like, for me,
Hmm.
I'm not good at this stuff. I mean, I'm trying, I'm working, I'm learning. Do I feel I'm getting a little bit better? Yes, not where I want to be. Editing, I have never done editing until I started YouTubing. Never in
Mm,
my life. So, and it's
me neither.
it's it's I mean, I've asked other people, my producer with Shadow Worlds, he gives me little insights on things because he's masterful with it. um but until you do it yourself, you're really not going to learn.
Yeah,
And that's smart, and that speaks to your level of intelligence and where you are. So I mean, I never would have thought about the aura, in terms of the video. It's just, what, this is my face, this is who I am. You like my
yeah,
ugly mug, so what, whatever, let's keep it going. But
yeah,
the backgrounds, like you said, the green screen, everything has always been a green screen to me. I mean,
yeah.
you know,
You know what stopped me from using the green screen?
mm,
I would have to get rid of recordings because my glasses have a green tint, and then
mm-hmm.
there will be parts in the green screen where my glasses will catch that green tint, and you can see the background through my eyes. And I was like, I have to do something different.
Okay.
I can't keep using the green screen because it's not working. I had to get rid of so
Mm,
many videos, and then that's why, like I said, you can see the progression of the backgrounds when you look at the
mm-hmm.
videos. And then it's funny. I added like the keyboard, and then I have the emblem in
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
back, and then shelves, and then I put the hats up, and it was just stuff that I had around the house just to start off,
I
that I
got
never
you.
had a place for. And I just said, you know what? I'm a play around with this little. I can't call it a studio for real because it's really just a small room, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
studio to me now. And then even the acoustics of me being in a like this is literally a closet that I'm in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So on the left side of me, there's clothes here. But what I didn't know is the
Mm-hmm.
clothes
Mm-hmm.
actually help the acoustics. It's almost like soundproofing. So instead of my voice bouncing all across the way and it sounded distorted, I didn't even know it just happened by accident. I got like boxes from storage and stuff in here, and it all just was absorbs the sound. So
Wow.
it made the sound. I got lucky, man. I wish I could take credit for all this, man. I can't. It's God,
But
man.
still, I mean, that right there, you're now teaching somebody who's going to be listening and watching this things like that, because you don't think about that.
Yeah,
You just think about, you want to have something, and again, I get it. People are visual, so you
hmm,
have nice visuals behind you. Your lighting and I'm old school. I never thought about that stuff. I mean,
yeah.
you're younger than me. I get it, and you're teaching me, and that's the things that I like. So you know what?
Well, I'm glad that I could teach you something as much as you've taught me, man. I'm telling you.
That trust me, I'm learning as much as I can every day. I don't know, and I get it. I appreciate it, and I thank the people who all say that I'm smart. And you know, all I can say is if I was smart, I'd be up there with the multi-billionaires out there making that money. So
I'm telling you this. I, in all honesty, coach, if I had half of your football knowledge, I listen. I might be a
That's
problem. I might be a problem if I
that's
if I
different.
had if I had what you had. I'm telling you. And like I said, I'm
That's
learning.
different. I get it. I get it. I get it.
I'm learning
I
because
will say this. I will say this. You have the opportunity and the ability, and it's right there at your fingertips.
I appreciate
Okay, so, and we'll talk about that offline. So,
it.
I'm not going to give away the secrets of
I can't give it
how
to
I've
everyone.
gotten here just yet. So,
Yeah.
but let's keep it going. So, um, through your YouTubing and podcasting, are you able to mentor others looking to follow in your footsteps?
Okay. So I wouldn't say I've been mentoring. I had some people hit me in like with the DMs on Twitter
Mm-hmm.
asking, how'd you get started and stuff like that, or what type of camera you're using, what's the equipment,
Mm-hmm.
what's your ideas about certain setups, and I just give them everything I know because who am I to just sit on this information? Why would I be stingy with the information if I can help somebody out, and even if it's not helping them substantially, just
Mm-hmm.
dropping a jewel to people, people appreciate it. Again, I go
Mm-hmm.
through my life, I learn from people, and
Mm-hmm.
and if they didn't share that information with me, I wouldn't be anywhere closer, to where I am. Not saying that I'm somebody or anything like that, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be, the person I am without absorbing that information that other people gave. And that's why I said
Mm-hmm.
I always try to find myself in a room where I'm not the smartest, especially when it comes to certain information. I like to soak in whatever I can get, all that I can get, especially if it's gonna help me. And yeah, man. So whenever anybody asks me about what am I doing, what is this, how did I just give them that information, and I tell them I'm not an expert. You know what I mean? I've
Mm-hmm.
watched people do things, and I try to put my own little twist on it. So when it
Mm-hmm.
came to like learning about setups and lighting and things like that, like I have these lights and I haven't even mastered them, man. I got if I lose these settings, it's gonna take
Mm-hmm.
me a long time to get these settings back because I haven't mastered it. You know what I mean? I got them
I got
saved
you.
and programmed into my phone because
Got
I'm working with a couple different lights here
you.
that are
Mm-hmm.
main lights, but again, a lot of learning, light placement, especially when you wear glasses. Light placement
Mm-hmm.
matters. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I wear the hat so much because if I didn't wear the hat, you would see a big glare on my
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
reflection. So and then also a cast shadow. Yeah, this is a whole bunch of stuff, man, that I learned just by you know it is what it is.
Again, that goes to the level of intelligence, bro. You are definitely one of the smartest guys out here. So, like I said, you're going to be getting a lot of people who are going to be coming to talk to you, brother, whether you
I hope
realize it
so.
or not. So, and and for those who are looking to get into YouTubing and podcasting, what would be your recommendation for them how to start or go
Yeah.
about it?
So the first thing I would say is that the only thing you have to think about is what you want to talk about. Once you figure out what you want to talk about or what you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
if it is YouTube, if it is podcasting, you got to hit the record button. That's it. And it sounds simple, but that's the first thing you do. You have to get out of your comfort zone. I mean, just really thinking about it. As long as I was on Twitter talking giant stuff, I could have started this channel in 2016. You know what I mean? Instead of 2022. And it's just like well, everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Timing is timing. And I just so happened to start YouTube in the first year the Giants had their resurgence, so that helps a lot
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But man, that's what I would tell somebody. Once you know what you want to talk about, just hit that record button, and then in some cases your audience will find you. You know what I mean? Your audience will find
Mm-hmm.
you, and again, like I never got any recommendations for like Pat and all the other stuff. It was always like entertainer talking Giants. But when I
Mm-hmm.
started doing my own YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
I started seeing everybody else. You know what I mean? Not just who we call the big YouTubers. I started
Mm-hmm.
seeing everybody else, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know these people existed or this part of YouTube as far as new, even not just the Giants content creators, NFL, just the smaller channels that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know they even existed out here, and I probably would have never knew
No,
because the way the algorithm is, if you don't have a certain amount of subscribers, they won't find you. They won't find you. Yeah,
And that's an important lesson. I mean, yeah, you got to get your subscriptions up, and
yeah,
and one of the things that like Jeff and some of the guys from the different networks, they always say to me, just get your stuff out there, coach. Just get your stuff
yeah.
out there,
And
and
you know what? Tell people to subscribe in the video. That's something that I
mhm,
didn't like to do early on.
mhm, mhm,
I wouldn't say, subscribe to the channel. I would say it, but another thing, studying, and I forget the guy's channel was like ways to get people to subscribe. And he said the first thing is tell people to subscribe.
mhm, mhm.
Tell people to subscribe and they'll do it. If you tell somebody to do it enough, they just might do it.
Guess what? I did sales for a long time,
Hmm.
and one of the things that was stress, when I was teaching it as well as when I was getting into it, was it's called asking for the sale. People
Hmm.
are not going to arbitrarily give it to you unless you ask for it. So,
Yeah,
so yes, that's asking for the sale. In sales, it's a good thing. Don't look at it in a negative way. People hear the word sale and they ooh, but everything is a sale. You got to
no, it
sell
is
yourself.
everything.
Everything. So, and that's you know what, you're right. Ask for the likes,
Ask for the
subscription,
likes, ask for the
share on
subscribe.
all
Yeah,
your social media platforms, and hit the
and don't be
notification
ashamed
button.
either, man. Don't be
No,
ashamed
you're right.
to do it, because how else are you gonna grow?
Lou
And like
said
I
it
said,
best too. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say because Lou said it best. He's like, it don't cost you anything. It's free.
Yep, yep.
So
That's
that's the best sale to have.
hey, guess what? I used that line in the last video too,
Exactly. So and that's the thing. It's
man.
and I get it. So you were about ready to say something when I said I said sorry. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, no. I'm just saying, for the people out there, if you're getting started, just like I said, I keep saying it's as easy as it is just to hit record, and don't worry about being bad at all. Because like I said, I
Mm-hmm.
was bad. I was, and you're always your toughest critic. You're always your own
Mm-hmm.
toughest critic. But I
True.
remember, but it's good to have somebody in your corner. Um, and like I said, for me, it's my wife. Like I said, she was like, "Nah, it was good." Even if she
Mm-hmm.
was lying to me at the time, she told me that, it was good, and I'm gonna go ahead and try even harder to do it and try to get
Mm-hmm.
better at it. And again, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. So when people, like I said, in this situation here, where you want to interview me, it's humbling, man. It's very humbling
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like whether it's worthy of it or anything like that. If it, it's just like, you know what, I appreciate the opportunity. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate all of the opportunities that I have, and like I said, even in YouTube. So even when, like I said, if I'm getting invited to on somebody's panel or something like that, I'm like, you know, thank you. At the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, thank you, because
Mm-hmm.
a year ago I didn't exist on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. 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 I understand,
Yeah,
believe
man.
me.
Yeah,
So,
man.
if people, if anyone is looking to connect with you, whether as a fan
Yeah.
or through any business opportunities, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so it's Big Dash knows on all social media platforms except for Facebook. For some reason, I can't get a second account to get started here, but I do share through my regular, personal page. So I'm in the groups, in like the Giants groups there. So
Mm-hmm.
if you see any information there, it's me. But then
Okay.
other than
Okay.
that, it's big-knows@gmail.com.
Okay. Okay. All right. Is there anything else you want the audience to know about Big Dash, or you have any closing comments?
Yeah, man. Center at 25, man. Center at 25. Fix my
Center at
line, Shane.
25, and the money. Make sure
Oh
the
yeah,
money's
and the
right.
money. Make sure the money's right. Hey, you know what's crazy? We could talk offline, but man, did you see the presser today from Joe Shane?
I didn't get to sit down
Oh
and
man.
review it because I had a rough start to the
Yeah.
day. So I was
Okay.
planning
Well,
on doing that
hopefully
later.
everything's smoothed out
Yeah,
for you.
yeah, I'm good. I'm good now. So
Okay. But
thanks.
yeah, a hard line in the sand for Saquon right now, man. Hard line in the sand. He made it. He put some emphasis on it today.
Business is business. I
Business
mean,
is
and
business.
and I
Yeah,
think
man.
Saquon is people know it. So I
Yeah, man.
mean, they want more, but all right, but
It might not
well,
be there yet.
Dash, I really, really, really appreciate you doing this with me. I mean, I had a great time doing this. Um, thank you so much.
No doubt, man. Thank you.
So, and I look forward to collaborating with you later on in any other
Absolutely.
ventures, as always.
Coach, you
So,
already know, coach, man. And listen, when you have the title of coach and people call you coach, that's
yeah.
you're respected, man. And anytime, and then once I finally start streaming, if I do start doing live streams,
Mhm.
you already know that the invite's going out. And like I said, hopefully you can show up for me.
I'll definitely work to get there. As long as I'm free for you.
Absolutely.
I got you. So it's nothing but love
Absolutely. I
and
appreciate
respect.
that.
So thank you again, and everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This is a great video. So we'll be get. I'll be back right after this break, and you guys know what I say in sports. Make sure you turn it on and turn it up. Talk to you later.